Hi, my name is Tom. I want to tell you a story about how my life was turned upside down when my wife Katie went away to study. We got married young, out of great love, and I naively assumed that our feelings would withstand any trials. Yeah, right. Keep dreaming. At first, after Katie left, I held up well. Work, home, friends, everything went on as usual. But the longer I stayed alone in our empty little nest, the more acutely I felt the longing and loneliness. You know how it is. There seemed to be plenty of people around, but no one to really talk to. The only ray of light in this bleakness was my mother-in-law, Linda. She lived nearby and often dropped by to check on me, the poor thing. At first, I was even afraid of her visits. Who knows? She might start lecturing or prying into my personal life. But Linda turned out to be surprisingly understanding and tactful. "Tom, dear, the main thing is don't mope around here," she would say, busying herself in the kitchen. "Katie will come back, and you'll wither away from boredom here. Let's have some tea and chat instead." And so we drank tea, chatted about everything under the sun. Linda told funny stories from her life, asked me about work and friends. Gradually, I began to catch myself thinking that I was looking forward to her visits with impatience. After all, who else could brighten up my dreary existence? Weeks dragged on one after another. Katie called less and less. She had started classes, made new acquaintances, had a busy student life. I was happy for her, but deep down I was gnawing at myself for not being able to be there with her, to share all those joys. Or maybe it wasn't just that. Maybe I was starting to forget what it was like to be an exemplary husband. Anyway, Linda's visits became a real outlet for me. I was surprised to realize that this woman was not at all like the classic nasty mother-in-law from jokes. She was smart, ironic, very easy to talk to. With her, you could discuss books, movies, music, everything that interested me. Not like with Katie, she mostly babbled about clothes and sales. And Linda was also devilishly attractive. I don't even know how to describe it. She was older than me, but age only suited her. You know, there are women who are not beauties in the conventional sense, but you can't take your eyes off them. Grace, magnetism, sensuality, call it what you will. The main thing is, she had it. And in spades. I cursed myself with the worst words for having such thoughts. Some Casanova I turned out to be. She's my mother-in-law, for God's sake. Have some decency, you idiot. But my traitorous body seemed to think otherwise. As soon as Linda smiled at me or looked at me in a special way, my pants would get tight. Yuck, what a nasty thing. Of course, I tried my best to drive all this obscenity out of my head. I thought about Katie, about our love, about the inviolability of marriage vows. I took cold showers 10 times a day, but it didn't help much. The image of Linda, laughing, languid, mysterious, kept appearing before my eyes. To top it all off, my precious wife had the audacity to call during her mother's visits. And every time she would give me a regular interrogation. "Tom, I hear Mom's voice. Is she hanging out at our place again? Listen, maybe it's time for her to stop coming over. People will talk." At moments like that, I could only grit my teeth. People will talk, yeah, and I'm supposed to sit here and howl with loneliness within these four walls. Thanks a lot, honey. You've done me a favor. Anyway, I have to admit, even to myself, my affairs were worse than ever. I didn't even notice how I got into this pile of shit. My beloved wife was far away, my mother-in-law was near, and all sorts of bad thoughts were there too. One wrong move, and I'd be in deep trouble. Although what could be worse? I was already up to my ears in shit. I just had to keep paddling so as not to drown. I didn't notice how my get-togethers with Linda became almost daily. Now I was the one inviting her over to watch a movie or try out a new recipe. It turned out we had a ton of common interests, from old-school rock to French cuisine. And on a purely human level, we understood each other perfectly. "Tom, remember how you and Katie met?" Linda would ask, sipping wine. "It was such a romantic story, just like in the movies." "That's for sure," I grinned. "Only in the movies there's usually a happy ending, and look how it turned out for us. We've drifted apart, you know." "It's okay. You'll have your day in the sun yet." Linda patted my hand encouragingly. "You love each other, I know it." Her touch sent a strange shiver through my body. I would shake myself and change the subject. After all, what were we talking about? I can't discuss my marriage with my own mother-in-law. But with each meeting, the awkwardness and embarrassment melted away. We talked about everything, our hopes, fears, innermost dreams. It turned out that Linda had also had a difficult life. She was widowed early, raised her daughter alone. I began to feel more and more respect for her, and even, damn, I can't find the words, admiration, I guess. "Linda, you're an amazing woman," I said once at dinner. "I don't know how I would have managed here without you." "Oh, come on, I'm just trying to support you as best I can," she smiled shyly. "You're like a son to me, Tom." Only she didn't look at me in a motherly way at all. I slept badly that night, tossing and turning and driving away unbidden thoughts. Linda is my wife's mother. What the hell am I fantasizing about her for? It's time to stop these get-togethers, or it'll lead to trouble. But I couldn't stop. I was getting deeper and deeper into my relationship with Linda. Now we were not only drinking and chatting in the evenings, but I was also frequenting her place, supposedly on business, to screw in a light bulb or fix a faucet. Yeah, right, the faucet. Just an excuse to see each other again. And I knew I was playing with fire. I knew where it was all heading. But the game was too sweet. Linda was too desirable with all her charms and temptations. I was flying to her flame like a moth, even knowing that I would burn to hell. Katie was visiting less and less. It seemed that studying was consuming her completely. And I myself found excuses to get out of chatting on Skype. Too much work, too tired, feeling unwell? I sprinkled excuses just to disconnect as soon as possible and return to my sinful thoughts again. One day, when I was once again tinkering in Linda's kitchen, I don't even remember what I was fixing. She suddenly came very close and whispered in my ear, "Tom, why do you keep coming here? Surely something in our house doesn't break every day." Her voice was soft and insinuating, but I felt there was a catch. I swallowed and tried to joke it off. "Well, you know, mother-in-law, I want to become a jack of all trades. Who knows? It might come in handy someday." Linda laughed softly. The tickle of her breath sent shivers down my spine. Tom, you're a smart boy. Don't tell me you haven't figured it out yet?" With those words, she took my face in her hands and kissed me, gently, barely touching her lips. But it was like I was struck by lightning. In an instant, my head was blissfully empty, and my heart was pounding like after a 100-meter dash. I vaguely remember what happened next. I think I was mumbling something, weakly fighting back. But it was like in a fog. The only things that were real were Linda's touches, her insistent caresses, her hot whisper. Common sense was screaming its head off. "Come to your senses, you cretin! She's your wife's mother." But it was too late. My body was already living its own life, spitting on the arguments of reason. Damn, how ashamed I am. And how sweet to the point of madness. To kiss Linda, to stroke her, to crush her in my arms, to feel how she responds. It was better than any fantasy. Although, wait, it was my fantasy. Only now it was all for real. Hot, crazy, until I saw stars. I don't remember how we got to the bed. I don't remember how we tore each other's clothes off. But I do remember the feeling of her naked skin under my fingers. Smooth, hot, velvety. And I also remember the taste, tart, musky, maddening. I will never forget how she enjoyed those moments of our intimacy. We must have looked ridiculously absurd from the outside, puffing and grunting like two pugs in the heat. But I didn't care. The whole world had shrunk to the size of that bedroom, to the lines and curves of Linda's body. I wanted to dissolve in her completely, to stay forever in this sweet madness. Only at the end did I begin to realize what I had done. I recoiled from Linda as if scalded, darted around the room, feverishly collecting my clothes. "Oh my God, what have I done? Mommy, Tom, calm down." Linda stretched out on the crumpled sheets, as if nothing had happened. "Come here, don't freak out. Everything is fine." Fine? Does she even have the conscience to say that? I'm going to be dealing with this fine for the rest of my days. Before Katie, before myself. How am I going to look her in the eye now? It's embarrassing, you know? "Linda, I'm sorry. This is a mistake. I have to go. Bye." And I dashed out of the apartment like a moose from wolves. I didn't even lace up my shoes properly. I ran down the stairs, stumbling and cursing through my teeth. The main thing was to get away from Linda and from this madness. Damn it all to hell. For the next 10 days or so, I lived in a daze. I worked, ate, slept, all on autopilot, not understanding what I was doing. My head kept spinning with memories of that crazy evening. As soon as I relaxed for a second, Linda's face would appear before my eyes, flushed, burning with passion. Katie called a couple of times, but I brushed her off with monosyllabic phrases. I'm busy, lots of work, very tired. The wife was puzzled but didn't pry too much. Apparently, she was really wrapped up in her studies. She could have at least asked what was wrong with me, why I was so down in the dumps. But no, she only babbled about her classes and exams. Oh, Katie, Katie, if only you knew what your faithful husband was suffering from. Linda didn't show any signs of life either. Well, no wonder, after such a screw-up. I was hoping that this would be the end of it. We screwed around out of stupidity, it happens. But now, maybe we'll both come to our senses. After all, we're not strangers. We have something to lose. Yeah, right, fat chance. It wasn't long before the phone rang. I had just come home from work, plopped down on the couch with a bottle of beer. Look, Linda on the display. My insides went cold. Damn, I jinxed it. She's probably going to start figuring out our relationship now, asserting her rights. Like, how could you scoundrel, take advantage of a weak woman? And all that jazz by the classics of the genre. I steeled myself and pressed the answer button. To tell you the truth, I was expecting any kind of reaction. Hysterics, accusations, threats, but definitely not what I heard. Tom, hi. Linda's voice was perfectly calm. Would you like to come over tonight? I made a pot roast that'll make your mouth water. It's boring to be alone. I nearly choked on my beer. What pot roast? What mouth-watering? I'm here, tormented by my conscience, reflecting, so to speak. And she's all, come over tonight. Holy shit, give me two. But the worst part was that I agreed. Like the last sucker, I fell for this trick. It's clear as day, Linda didn't mean any pot roast. But I could imagine in all the juicy details what fingers she meant. Anyway, I dragged myself to her place that same evening, like a good boy. I'm standing at the door, shifting from foot to foot, trying to think of an excuse. And in my head, there are only bad thoughts, each one prettier than the last. Linda opened the door right away, as if she'd been waiting behind it. She let me in silently, only her eyes flashed promisingly. And what did I do? I walked in like a moose into an enclosure, sullen and doomed. I knew it wasn't going to end well. But no, I still went. The fucking masochist. Linda really did make a pot roast. Right from the doorway, she led me to the kitchen, shoved a plate into my hands. Eat, they say, dear son-in-law, gather your strength. Yeah, as if I need them to eat pot roast. Here I need to keep all these strengths in my pants. But I didn't refuse. I gobbled down a couple of spoonfuls. And what? It's tasty. I'll give you that. Mother-in-law has always been a goddess in the kitchen. You can't take that away from her. At least some reason to rejoice in this awkward situation. As soon as I pushed the plate away, Linda sat down next to me. She put her arm around my shoulders, looked into my eyes, smiled slyly. I got goosebumps from the back of my head to my heels. My heart was pounding like crazy. That's it, I think. You're done for, Tom. I missed you, Tom, Linda purred, stroking me with her manicured fingers. Why did you disappear? Are you mad at me for something? Mad? More like scared shitless with horror and shame, although of course I was also offended. At myself, such an idiot. And I was sorry for Katie. What kind of husband am I after this? But I didn't say any of that out loud. I only mumbled incoherently, shrugging my shoulders, like I had all sorts of things to do, this and that. No, what are you talking about? No offense, God forbid. I just got a little busy, tired. It happens to everyone, doesn't it? Linda looked at me with a long, searching gaze, as if looking into my soul, searching for something, and then suddenly she smiled the corner of her mouth and pulled me to her. She kissed me slowly with relish and breathed right into my mouth. Enough pretending, Tom. We both know what we want. And that's it. The dam burst. I pounced on Linda like a starving beast. I kissed, I groped, I tore her clothes. I think I even growled at one point. By God, at that second I wasn't thinking about anything. Not about Katie, not about decency, not about common sense. Just a naked, primitive instinct. To possess, to take what's mine. We did it right there, in the kitchen. We didn't even make it to the bedroom. That's how bad it was. I slammed Linda against the wall. She just gasped. God, how sweet it was. How good it was to forget everything and just give in to passion. Then, of course, I was ashamed. To the point of madness. To the point of red ears. But not enough to get out right after. On the contrary, I stayed the night, and we repeated the same thing, only this time without haste, with taste. And in the morning we woke up in the same bed, disheveled, exhausted, but so pleased. "I told you we'd be good together," Linda whispered, kissing me on the shoulder. "Don't be afraid of it, Tom. Enjoy the moment." Yeah, the moment. You can say that again. It was perfectly clear to both of us that these were no longer moments. Rather, such big moments that it would be harder and harder to ignore with each passing day. But at that instant, nothing seemed important. Not the pangs of conscience, not the fear of exposure, not even thoughts of the future. There was only us, naked, entwined in an embrace, lost in our forbidden passion, and to hell with everything else. And so it went on. During the day, I sort of lived my usual life. I worked, met with friends, called Katie, and at night I would run to Linda and drown in the abyss of carnal pleasures. And where did we not do it? In bed, in the kitchen, in the bathroom, even in the freaking closet. We couldn't find a place for ourselves if only to touch each other. I don't know what came over us. It's like we let the genie out of the bottle, I swear to God. It was too late to drink Borjomi. The process, so to speak, had begun. I couldn't imagine my life without Linda anymore, without her caresses, without our craziness. It was stronger than me, stronger than any arguments of reason. Of course, I knew it was all wrong. I was perfectly aware of what a moral freak I was. To do this with your mother-in-law behind your wife's back, you have to be out of your mind to think of that. Mom and Dad are probably fainting from shame for their wayward son in heaven, but I couldn't help myself. I was sitting on it like a junkie on a needle. One day without Linda, and that's it. I'm going through terrible withdrawals. My hands and feet are shaking. My head is splitting. I can't eat, drink, or sleep. I can only think about one thing: how to get to her as soon as possible, to dive into the hot pool. The worst part was that Linda was hooked on me just as much. She sensed her power, the infection, and used it to the fullest. She turned me around like a slave. She'd beckon me with her finger, and I'd be right there, ready to fulfill any whim. And she had plenty of whims, I tell you. Either she doesn't like it this way or she's not happy with it that way. Even if I turned myself inside out, just to please the lady. But I still went out of my way. I brought her flowers in armfuls, gave her expensive gifts, restaurants, all sorts of surprises. Like a teenage boy, I swear to God. And it's okay if I was just wasting money. I became like putty in Linda's hands. "I'll do whatever you want. Just don't leave me. Don't deprive me of your favor." I visited Katie less and less. It seemed that studying was consuming her completely, and I myself found excuses to get out of chatting on Skype. Too much work, too tired, feeling unwell. I sprinkled excuses just to disconnect as soon as possible and return to my sinful thoughts again. One day, Linda started talking about the future. Like, how long can we hide in the corners? It's time, they say, to decide something. Like I should leave Katie and stay with her. Yeah, sure. That's all I've ever dreamed of. Taking my mother-in-law as my wife. What a fucking joke. But Linda insisted. Her eyes were burning. Her cheeks were flushed. A tigress, not a woman. "Tom, understand, I can't do this anymore," she stated bluntly. "I want to fall asleep and wake up with you. To be together not in snatches, but constantly. You want it yourself. Admit it." I was taken aback by such pressure. Yes, I want to want. Only how? It's going to be one hell of a scandal. Katie will lose her mind, that's for sure. And what will people say? A man dumped his young wife and left for her mother. Holy shit! But Linda didn't want to listen to anything. She got stubborn as a mule. Either I go to her or we go our separate ways. There's no point, they say, in wasting time. She wants her womanly happiness, you see. And what am I? Not a person, in your opinion. I, too, may be dreaming of happiness. In short, we had a huge fight. We were yelling at each other like victims, almost came to blows. But then Linda went and burst into tears, and so bitterly, with such anguish, my heart just sank. "Why don't you want to be with me?" she sobs, smearing tears on her cheeks. "I love you, Tom. Can't you see that?" That's when I gave in. I hugged her, pressed her to me. I look, and my own eyes are wet too. What a story. Two adults, and snot is hanging in front of each other. And for real, for natural feelings. When was the last time this happened to me? 3 years ago, no less. I'd already forgotten what it was like to really love, to the point of sparks from the eyes. "Linda," I say, You have to understand me correctly. I'm not against us. But Katie, she won't forgive me for this. And how can I look her in the eye after that? It's embarrassing, you know. And Linda knows herself sobbing, and so pitifully through the sobs. And you're not ashamed to leave me? You took advantage of me, and now you're hiding in the bushes? You promised, Tom. You said you couldn't live without me. Oh, and we went at it again. Only this time we weren't arguing, but trying to figure out who loved whom more. We almost came to blows, I swear to God. But then somehow the passions subsided on their own, and we just sat there hugging each other, silent, each thinking our own thoughts. You know what, I say at last, let's go somewhere together, just the two of us. We'll unwind, get some fresh air, and we'll decide everything with a fresh head at the same time. Linda's face just lit up. Like a little girl, I swear to God. She almost clapped her hands with joy. Really? Are you serious? Oh, Tom, I'm so happy. Of course, let's go away, to the end of the world if only together. Well, what about me? I nodded, mumbled something unintelligible, and I myself stare at the ceiling and think, I'm in trouble, so much trouble. And it's all my own fault. I didn't guess that it would all turn out this way. And now it's too late to rush around. If you call yourself a mushroom, get in the basket. Anyway, I booked a week's tour to Mexico for Linda and me. Just beaches, hotels, tequila. I told Katie a bunch of stuff, like I have a business trip, a seminar to exchange experiences. Who's going to check on me, the idiot? I took a leave of absence at my own expense and got away from all the problems as far as possible. I mean, what the hell? I have the right to rest after all. To sunbathe there, to swim, to sip cocktails. And the fact that it's not with my wife, but with my mother-in-law. Well, those are the little things in life. Think about it. People around me are looking askance and whispering, to hell with them, with people. After everything that's happened between me and Linda, I didn't care much about anyone's opinion at all. Speaking of Linda, you should have seen how she glowed the whole way. She was just beaming with happiness, no less. And she infected me with her mood. I'd already forgotten about all the torments and hesitations. I only dreamed of getting to the hotel as soon as possible and locking myself in a room with Linda. For a year or two, yeah. But, you know, nothing in this life is that easy. Linda and I, two idiots, thought the hardest part was behind us. But no, it was just the beginning. This Mexico, goddammit, turned out to be a complete fucking disaster. But I'll tell you about that some other time. Mexico greeted us with stuffiness and a cacophony of colors. After our native backwater, everything here seemed too much, too bright, too noisy, too chaotic. But Linda and I didn't care. We hardly noticed anything around us except each other. We checked into the hotel and rushed straight to our room. As soon as the door closed behind us, it was as if we were unleashed. Clothes flew to shreds, bodies intertwined in a mad dance so much that it was hard to breathe. But it's not enough. It's all not enough. We're hooked, man. We spent almost the whole week like that, in bed and by the pool. We hardly went to the beach, didn't go on excursions. No fucking way, when we have our own personal paradise here with champagne and strawberries. But everything has its limit, and our Mexican seclusion found its limit too, and not at all where we expected. One evening, when we were lying in bed lazily kissing after another marathon, my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but for some reason from California. I stared at the screen in bewilderment. Who the hell brought these devils? All my friends and acquaintances seemed to know that I was on a mission trip. Hello? I say, trying not to let my voice tremble. Tom, is that you? I heard a painfully familiar voice on the phone. My heart sank. Katie! Damn it! How did she find me? Honey, I stammer. What a surprise! Where are you? Where are you calling from? From California, you dummy! Katie's voice was extremely excited. Did you forget? I told you I was going to a conference, you know, the one on molecular biology. Holy moly, she did tell me. I somehow forgot all about it, got all wrapped up with Linda. And what do I do now? I can't admit that I'm not home either, and that I've arranged a romantic trip with my mother-in-law instead of my wife. Oh, right, I babble like an idiot. It completely slipped my mind. How's your conference, by the way? Has your brain boiled over from all this biology yet? Katie giggled into the phone, just like before, so carefree. Everything's fine, don't worry. Listen, I was thinking, maybe you could come to me? For a couple of days at least. I miss you so much, I can't stand it. I got goosebumps all over my back. To California? To my wife? I'd rather commit harakiri on the spot. How can I look Linda in the eye after that? And most importantly, how can I behave with Katie afterwards? I'd be cheating, you know, the most natural, caught red-handed practically. While I was frantically composing an excuse, Linda crawled closer and wrapped her arms around me. Like, what are you frozen for? Let's go back, we have to do the 6th round. And my tongue is stuck to my larynx, dead. I'm standing like a post, silent like an idiot. And in my head there's only one thought pounding. We're fucked, Tom. You're done for. Honey, do you hear me? Katie kept asking. So what about California? Will you come? I pulled myself together and blurted out, I'm sorry, sunshine, I can't. I have a ton of work to do. Deadlines are burning, the boss is going crazy. As soon as I'm done, I'll come to you right away, I promise. Tom, is everything okay with you? Katie's tone became suspicious. You sound kind of out of sorts. Are you sick or something? Yeah, sick. All sorts of bullshit, damn it. It's called being in love with your own mother-in-law. A 100% fatal case. No, what are you talking about? I started weaseling. I'm just totally exhausted. First this trip, then the rush at work. My head is spinning, to be honest. I'd love to see you, but I just can't. I'm sorry. Linda was listening to the conversation, frowning. It was clear that she was worried too. No wonder such a bummer out of the blue. We just got everything straightened out, you know. Love carrots, roses, mimosas, and then bam! And they cut us off at full gallop. And who? My own daughter, by the way. Anyway, I barely got Katie off the phone. I lied through my teeth just to get her off my back. Like, I have a meeting, I only had 3 minutes. I'll call you as soon as I'm free. Well, that sort of thing, yeah. I hung up, turned to Linda, and she's sitting there pale, biting her lip. Her eyes are like a beaten dog's, sad, miserable. I could tell right away that she was offended. At what, though? I kind of made an excuse. I didn't buy a one-way ticket. Well, got caught up in it? Linda asks bitterly. Your wife called, and you tucked your tail between your legs right away? I was taken aback by such an attack. Is it like I'm to blame for everything or what? Yes, if it weren't for my precious mother-in-law, I wouldn't be here at all. I'd be sitting at home right now kissing Katie's feet. Linda, what's wrong with you? I started, but she just waved me off. Nothing. I'm just looking at what a faithful husband you are. As soon as the wifey beckoned, that's it. Linda's out the door. Is that it? That's when I exploded. Some fucking nerve. Yes, I went for everything for her sake, the bitch. I betrayed my family. I betrayed myself. You'd think I wanted this myself. Yes, I didn't dream of such a thing in my worst nightmare. Listen up, I barked, sitting up in bed. It's because of you that I got into this shit, okay? Because of you and your antics. You'd think I dreamed of this myself. Yes, I've never seen such a thing, even in my worst nightmare. Linda's mouth just fell open in outrage. Her eyes were flashing. Her cheeks were burning, exactly like a tigress, only she wasn't letting her claws out. Oh, so it's all my fault? She hisses, spitting saliva. You'd think I dragged you into bed by force. You ran with your ears on yourself. That's when I completely lost it. How dare she, huh? I'm here, you might say, trampling on the last crumbs of my conscience, and she's accusing me too. Well, you know what? I yelled, jumping to my feet. Well, fuck you and your hysterics. I'm sick of it all, you hear me? I'm sick of crawling on my belly in front of you. I can't take it anymore. If you want to dump me, just don't drag me into it. And then Linda burst into tears, loudly like that, with howls, smearing mascara on her cheeks. I swear to God, it's better to put them in a coffin. My heart just sank. That's how I brought the woman to it, the bastard. Tom, she sobs, how can you do this to me? I love you, you miserable idiot. Do you think it was easy for me to decide to do all this? Yes, I feel like the last bitch. I betrayed my own daughter. I took a sin on my soul. And you? And again in tears, weeping white sturgeon, hiccuping, even the bed is shaking, and I'm standing there like an idiot, scratching my head. And what am I supposed to do? Tell her to fuck off again? I seem to have already done that. Comfort her? I seem to be guilty myself for bringing her to hysterics. Anyway, I did the last stupid thing. I sat down next to her, put my arm around her shoulders, mumbling something soothing. Like, come on, Linda, everything's fine with us. Well, it's not working out with Katie yet, but we haven't broken up yet. We'll make up somehow. We'll get used to it. I won't leave you. What are you talking about? Linda gradually quieted down. She's sitting there, sniffling, burying her face in my shoulder. Her hair is disheveled, her mascara is running, and for some reason I feel so sorry for her, I could howl. Well, I can't stand it when a woman cries. Even though I know she's taking advantage, manipulating, I still feel my heart bleeding. Okay, I say, forget it, forget it. You don't cry anymore, okay? We'll break through somehow. We're not eating soup with a bast shoe, you know. Linda sniffled and smiled weakly. You're a fool, Tom, but I love you anyway. And again in tears. Only not bitter ones, but just a relief. Like a weight off your shoulders you can exhale. And I sit there, kissing her wherever I can and thinking, yes, a fool no doubt. Because I know that I'm in deep shit, with Linda, with Katie, and with my whole fucking life in general. But I can't do anything about it anymore. I can't leave my mother-in-law, really. Look how she's clinging, you can't tear her off with pliers. Anyway, we somehow settled this crisis. We made up, swore love vows to each other again. We didn't leave the room for 2 days. We ate, we drank, we made love like rabbits. We didn't show ourselves in public. It was embarrassing. I didn't want my eyes to see Linda. But in the end, it let go. We decided that it was time to call it quits. No point in running from reality. We'll go home and live as we lived. And then we'll see. Maybe it'll work itself out somehow. With any luck, Katie won't suspect anything. At least for now. Yeah, right. Dream on, you idiots. You thought the worst was over? Well, fuck you guys. The adventure was just beginning. But I'll tell you about that next time. I'm kinda tired. I'm going to lie down. And you think about it. What an asshole this Tom is, huh? He's made a mess of things. You can't even. And he's making excuses too. Look at that. The cretin, and that's it. The return home was a real ordeal. First of all, the flight was wild. 3 hours of shaking and solid air pockets. My spine even fell into my underwear from fear. And Linda, she was all green, like a frog. It's a good thing she didn't start puking, and thank God for that. And secondly, Katie. Now that's who I was afraid of, like fire. Although, of course, it's my own fault. I shouldn't have been fooling around with my mother-in-law, but it's too late to drink Borjomi when your liver has fallen off. All that was left was to pray quietly that my wife wouldn't suspect anything. Linda sort of promised to keep quiet, like our secret is in the grave, all that. But I knew what a blabbermouth she was. She'll blurt something out of stupidity, and that's it, it's over. Katie will skin me alive and use the rest for shish kebab. And she'll be right, by the way. Anyway, I came home and there was a surprise. Katie wasn't alone, but with her bosom buddy Sylvia. Well, you know, the girlfriend she was supposedly messing around with back in high school. Not that they were really messing around, but they were very close somehow. Katie told me herself, even though I was inwardly seething with jealousy. And there they were, sitting in the kitchen sipping tea. Katie was just beaming, her eyes sparkling. And Sylvia was looking at me like I owed her $1 million. Like, hey Tom, long time no see. I'm here, you know, comforting your wife in her husband's absence. Yeah. Honey, why are you so gloomy? Katie chirps, kissing me on the cheek. Did you miss me, yeah? Well, don't worry, we'll fix that now. And she winks so playfully. Like, we'll get rid of Sylvia and off to the bedroom, my soul. And what about me? I put on a smile and nod like a bobblehead. Like, yeah, sure, I'm already taking off my pants. And inside, everything is turning upside down. God, how can I sleep with her? After everything that's happened between me and Linda? I'll become impotent on the spot, I swear to God. You have to think of that. To sleep with your wife in the same bed where you sinned with her mother. But there's nowhere to go. I had to play the family idol. I walked Sylvia out, poured Katie some wine. I listened to her chatter about the conference, nodded in the right places. Like, yeah, very interesting, dear. And all I could think about was how to get away from her as soon as possible. Eventually, I pleaded fatigue. Like, the flight was hard. My head was splitting. I'm going to go lie down for a bit. Don't be mad. Katie pouted, of course, but didn't argue. Kissed me goodnight and sent me to the bedroom. And I'm lying there thinking, well, you've done it, Tom. That's what you get for fighting for what you fought for. You wanted thrills, forbidden love? Well then take it, you fascist grenade. Now wriggle out of it any way you can. Just remember, you may not get a second chance. The next morning, another surprise awaited me. Linda showed up for a visit at the crack of dawn. She's missed her daughter, you see, couldn't wait. Yeah, sure, She missed her daughter my ass. I didn't believe that for a second. And I myself am sitting in the kitchen, guzzling coffee by the liter. And I'm reacting so dumbly, sluggishly. Like, "Hi, Linda, how are you doing?" And I'm afraid to look her in the eye. Because I know, as soon as I look, that's it. I'll give myself away in a second, like the suite at Poltava. Katie, of course, doesn't notice anything. She's chattering with Mommy like nothing happened. She's talking about California, about her science and biology. And I'm sitting there like I'm submerged in water. Deep down, I understand. Well, that's it. We're done for. Now it's going to hit. It's going to blow up. There won't be a wet spot left. But no, it worked out. Linda behaved surprisingly restrained. She smiled, nodded, joked inappropriately. She hardly even looked at me, can you imagine? Only once did she shoot me a glance, but so briefly, as if by chance. And I almost slid under the table from that look. Eventually she fucked off, like she had things to do, all sorts of worries. She kissed Katie goodbye, shook my hand. And that's it. Bye-bye. See you next time. And I had a load off my mind. She's gone, thank God. It worked out, I guess, only I rejoiced too soon. No sooner had I relaxed than it started. Either Linda calls 5 times a day, or she sends some kind of ambiguous text messages. Like, "I miss you, I love you," all that stuff. And I'm climbing the walls. "What the hell are you doing, infection? You're going to give us away, damn it." And then Katie started suspecting something. Either it seems to her that I'm acting strange, or she imagines that I'm making eyes at Linda. In short, life is pain, guys. All nerves and no light at the end of the tunnel. But I held on. Where else could I go? I gritted my teeth, smiled at the wife, gave the mother-in-law the cold shoulder. Like, "Everything's fine with us, dear. I'm just a little tired. I've got a lot on my plate. I'll get some sleep, and I'll be as fresh as a cucumber again, you'll see." And I myself can only think of one thing: how to get away somewhere far away. To work there or to my buddies for fishing. Anything to get away from this madhouse, from these two furies, damn them. They've already got me. I can't take it anymore. But then, as luck would have it, trouble struck. Linda was diagnosed with some female shit, like an inflammation or something like that. In short, she was on sick leave, getting all sorts of injections. And who, I ask you, is supposed to take care of my mother-in-law? That's right, dear son-in-law, the one and only. And so imagine the picture. I'm going to Linda's every single day. I'll bring her some soup. I'll bring her some damn pills. And she lies there, all grimacing, complaining about life. Like, "Everything hurts? I might as well hang myself. And what about me?" I sit there and listen, and I stroke her on the head. "Ooh-poo!" Like, "It's okay. You'll get better soon. And I'll always be there. I won't leave you." Yuck! I'm disgusted with myself how low I've sunk. Katie, of course, is also good. Instead of going to her mother herself, she dumped everything on me. She has work, you see, important things to do. And her husband is like a freeloader. He doesn't care what he does. So let him babysit his mother-in-law, since he has nothing to do. I was seething inside, of course. But I didn't show it. Where else could I go? You're not going to send your beloved wife away, along with her mommy. Although, I admit, sometimes my hands itched, especially when Linda would roll her eyes once again and moan like, "Oh, how bad she feels, oh, oh, oh." But I endured. I clenched my teeth and carried my cross like a good boy. After all, it's my own fault. I shouldn't have been fooling around with my mother-in-law. So now, Tom, eat your own porridge. You've brewed it, now eat it, don't slop it. But it couldn't go on like this for long, you understand? Sooner or later, there had to be an explosion. And it did happen, and from the most unexpected direction. One evening, I show up at Linda's, and she's not alone. She's sitting in the living room sipping tea. And across from her is some dandyish dude in a suit and tie. You can tell right away he's not from our sandbox, from another neighborhood. My jaw just dropped. Who the hell is this guy from the mountain? And what the hell is he doing in my mistress's house? Yuck. I mean, my mother-in-law's. Damn, I'm lying so much. I'll soon forget who's who to me. Anyway, I'm standing in the doorway like an idiot, blinking my eyes, not getting it. And Linda says to me so calmly, "Tom, meet Jerry, my old friend from school." Yeah, a friend. Sure, I believe that. I saw the way this Jerry looks at her. Like a cat at cream, I swear. He's about to start licking his chops, the bastard. But I don't show it. I say hello, smiling with all 32 teeth. Like, "It's nice to meet you, buddy. Welcome to our friendly family." And inside, I'm just boiling over. I just want to whack this dandy between the eyes so he doesn't covet what's not his. But no way. This Jerry, it seems, has no sense of boundaries at all. He sits there, legs crossed, grinning contemptuously. He doesn't pay any attention to me at all, as if I'm some kind of furniture. And he's just shooting glances at Linda, like, come on, baby, quit this circus. Let's go to the bedroom instead. We'll tumble around real quick. That's when I couldn't take it anymore. I yelled at the top of my lungs, "Hey, you punk! Get the fuck out of here while I'm nice! No more making eyes, you got it?" Linda nearly jumped out of her skin. She's looking at me with square eyes, opening and closing her mouth. Like, what's wrong with you, Tom? Did you eat belladonna? What business is it of yours who I'm having tea with? And this Jerry, he didn't even change his face. He's sitting there grinning, as if that's how it should be. And then he blurts out, "Actually, I'm here on business. Linda and I have some old scores to settle, you know, so be so kind as not to interfere with adult conversation." That's it. That's when I finally lost it. What's that supposed to mean? I'm here, you know, pouring my heart out, swearing my love to my wife. I go to my mother-in-law every single day, wiping her snot. And she, the bitch, is setting me up, bringing her ex-boyfriends into the house right under my nose? Well, no way, honey. You've picked the wrong guy. Now I'm going to make your life a living hell. You'll know how to do business behind my back. So I fly up to this Jerry and grab him by the collar. And I hiss right in his face, like a boa constrictor. "You don't seem to understand me, do you?" I said, "Get the fuck out of here. Before I throw you out myself, you got it?" And he, the bastard, just grins. And so condescendingly, as if I'm not a man at all, but some nasty insect. "Get your hands off me," he says through clenched teeth, "if you don't want me to rip them off." That's when I went into a rage. I swung my fist and hit him in the jaw with all my might. And this dandy didn't even flinch. He's standing there grinning, as if that's how it should be. And then he hits me back. God forbid. It went dark before my eyes. Sparks flew out of my ears. I even fell to the floor from such a blow. I'm lying there, coming to my senses. And I'm only holding one thing in my head. Well, that's it. You're fucked, Tom. You've played yourself, so to speak. Everything else is like in a fog. I only remember Linda screaming at the top of her lungs. This Jerry was calming her down, stroking her back, and I was lying on the floor like the last idiot. And I was thinking, well, why did I need all this? For what did I suffer, ruin my family? To writhe like this with a broken face at the feet of my own mistress. Then, of course, I got up somehow, spat at Jerry's feet, cursed Linda. I turned around and walked out. I slammed the door so hard at the end, the glass rattled, and I trudged home without a saltless sip. More precisely, with a salty, broken face. The whole way I cursed myself to hell and back. Like, what an idiot you are, Tom. That's your retribution for your mortal sins, for cheating on your wife with your mother-in-law. Now you'll get it in full, and you deserve it. At home, of course, it wasn't a piece of cake either. Katie nearly went gray when she saw me. She kept asking me, like, what happened? Who did this to you? And I refused. Like, I got into a drunken fight. It happens to everyone. Anything not to blab about Linda, anything not to get into even more trouble. Only how long can you hide something like that? The truth, you know, is a stubborn thing. It still comes out no matter how much you hide it. And so Linda and I got busted big time. And from the most unexpected direction. In short, this Sylvia, Katie's girlfriend, showed up at our place. And from the doorway, she said something that almost made me give my soul to God. It turns out she saw me with Linda, back then, in Mexico, in that fucking hotel. How we were making out by the pool, kissing like crazy. Can you imagine that? I felt the ground slip out from under my feet. That's it, I think. I'm done for. Now Katie's going to twist my balls off, and I deserve it. But Sylvia, the bitch, didn't stop there. She spilled it all, like she was confessing. She's been watching us for a long time, and she often follows us in the city. She's seen me going to Linda's, seen her coming to me. In short, she laid out all the cards, the bitch. And Katie's sitting there, pale as death. She's looking at me, eyes huge, tears and resentment in them. And she's silent, can you imagine? She didn't say a word, just shook her head. Like, how could you bastard? With my mother, with my own fucking mother. I, of course, went into denial. I started babbling like a lunatic. Like it's all a lie, a bunch of crap. There's nothing between me and Linda. There never has been. And Sylvia, well, she's completely sick in the head. She needs to get treatment. But how can you fool Katie? She gave me a look that made me almost shit myself. And she says quietly, "So, a lie? Nonsense. Well, we'll see about that. I'm going to call Mom right now. Let her tell me everything herself, like a confession." And she reaches for the phone. Can you imagine? And my heart sank into my boots. That's it, I think. I'm fucked. Now Linda's going to spill the beans and I'm done for. Katie's going to fucking kill me like a mad dog. But then the incredible happened. Linda didn't pick up the phone. Katie calls once, twice, 3 times, and there's only ringing, and that's it. Can you imagine that? For the first time in my life, I was glad I couldn't get through. And Katie went completely off the rails. She threw the phone on the floor, burst into tears. Sylvia rushed to her, patting her on the back, comforting her. And I'm standing there like an idiot, not knowing what to do, whether to get out quietly or to keep acting like a Hollywood star, like I'm not guilty. Eventually, Katie calmed down a little. She wiped her tears, stared at the floor, and she says so softly that I could barely hear her, "Get out, Tom. I can't stand the sight of you. And don't come back, you hear me? Never!" I, of course, refused. Like I'm not going anywhere, I'll explain everything. But Katie just waved her hand like, "Get out of here already, I'm sick of you." And Sylvia was playing meaningfully with her fist. Like, "You'd better get out of here nicely while we're in a good mood." There was nothing to be done, so I trudged to the exit. I tucked my tail between my legs, lowered my head. Like a beaten dog, I swear to God. The whole way I was thinking, and what now? Where to go? I can't go to Linda's. I'm ashamed to go to my friends. I might as well hang myself, I swear to God. In the end, I spat on everything and went to the nearest bar. The bouncers kicked me out, the bastards. But at least they took me home in a cab, and thank God for that. Now I'm lying here. My head is pounding. I can't think straight. I don't know what to do next, where to run. One thing is clear. I'm up to my ears in shit, and I'm unlikely to ever get clean. So that's the deal, guys. That's what fooling around with your mother-in-law leads to, damn her. But you know what? I don't regret anything. Even now, broken and devastated. It was worth it. The sex, the crazy love. Even if it was short-lived, even if it was against everyone's will. At least I lived for real, to the fullest. And the rest? To hell with it, with the rest. Although, of course, it still sucks. But that's a whole different story. Well, my friends, have you finished listening to my heartbreaking story? I bet you're shaking your heads, clicking your tongues. Like, the guy's gone completely crazy, off his rocker. A young wife, a full house, and he wants some adventurous love, you see. And with whom? With his own mother-in-law, for God's sake. And you can't argue with that. I'm cursing myself with the worst words now. And what the hell was I thinking, I ask you? Couldn't I keep my junk in my pants? But no, I had to go on amorous adventures. I thought I was the smartest, the most awesome macho. And look how it turned out. But you know what's the most vile thing? I foresaw it. I had a premonition that it wouldn't end well. From the very beginning, as soon as Linda started hitting on me. But I couldn't stop. I got sucked in. It was like I was under some kind of hypnosis, I swear to God. And okay, if it was love there, unearthly passion, but it was some fucking thing. So I wanted to have some fun in my younger years. Mr. Hero Lover, damn it, now I'm getting my just desserts, paying for all my sins. Katie decided to divorce me. And she's doing the right thing, really. Why the hell does she need a husband like me? Let her be alone rather than with a traitor like me. And then, maybe, she'll start a normal life. I broke it off with Linda too. I cut it off, I swear to God. To hell with it, this forbidden love. Nothing but trouble from it and nothing more. She's probably already having fun with that dandy of hers. That's where she belongs. And what about me? And now I'm like a lonely finger man, and kind of free like my own master. Only it's vile in my soul. I just want to howl. No family, no real friends. Alone like an owl all day long. But don't think I'm complaining. It's my own fault. I'm sorting it out myself. I wanted thrills, you know, so now I'm getting them in full. The only thing I really regret is Katie. She was a good woman, a righteous one. She loved me, the fool, no matter what. And I, the bastard, went and betrayed her. And with whom? With her own mother. How could I have thought of that, huh? Now I'm walking around all snotty and repentant. Every day I walk past our house, peeking in the windows. I think maybe I'll see her at least out of the corner of my eye. Maybe I'll get to talk to her. But no way. She shies away from me like I'm a leper. And she's right, really. But I'm not giving up. I've decided to quit all this crap. No women, no booze, no buddies. Just work and home, home and work. Maybe by honest work I'll atone for my guilt. Maybe Katie will forgive me someday, the fool that I am. That's how it is, guys. That's what fooling around with your mother-in-law leads to, damn it. No family, no peace, just suffering. So think before you hit on other people's mommies. Do you need it? To ruin your whole life for a momentary weakness? That's right. Okay, it's time for me to get out of here. I've been sitting here with you for too long. I've been chatting too much. Things are waiting. Work is piling up. After all, I'm starting a new life, a righteous one. Maybe by our next meeting, I'll already be a decent person. The kind that Katie and my mom and dad in heaven won't be ashamed of. Oh, dreams, dreams. But where would we be without them, dear ones? Now I only hope for them. Maybe they won't leave me. They'll support me in a difficult moment. Well, that's it. Bye. And remember, love your wives, cherish them. And don't hit on your mothers-in-law even if you really want to. I know what I'm talking about. I've felt it, so to speak, on my own skin. All the best to you, my friends. Don't remember poor Tom in a bad way. Everything will still work out for me, you'll see. And true love and a strong family. Only now for sure. Without any mothers-in-law and other nonsense. Amen, as they say. Good luck to you guys. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.